In gCADPlus, we've introduced the concept of what we call extended data. That means that you can store inside a gCADPlus data file or a drawing file, an LCD file, lots of extra information, and we call it extended data. You'll find a tool on the gCADPlus drop-down menu called extended data, so you can store some information with any entity. You can highlight entities that have got extended data already associated with them. So let me do that now, and you can see let me unselect all now. You can see that the clothesline here and the rubbish bins and plants in this narrow bed and concrete have extended data associated with them. You'll notice down in the status line an ENT switch. Let me just click it off, and if it's off, none of this extended data will show, but if it's on, let's put it on. As I move, say, to the clothesline here, I'll try not to move. I can see that its type is furniture, the size 3100, cost $430, the manufacturer, and the product name. The same applies to these wheelie bins here. That's a 740 in its longest plan view. It's cost $89.50, and there's a link there to the manufacturer's website, and that's a 240 litre recycle bin. This one alongside it is a 120 litre household refuse bin. Different types of information can store different symbols can store different types of information. So here's a species that's Palmatum, there's a misspelling there, Palmatum sangokaku, the red-stemmed Japanese maple, an estimate of its height there. The Google KLM, if you wanted to zoom to a site, if this was in a botanic gardens for the sake of the argument, you'd have the coordinate or the system to go fly to there in Google Earth. If you were plotting the GPS coordinates of it, you could store that, but the URL that takes you to an image and notes are also stored in there. And if we come to this one here, there's an whoops, not that one, it's I need to zoom in a little. There's an understory planting there is it this one? This one here, the dwarf rock lily. So you can see we're storing quite a lot of information there. If we pan up a little, I've got some paving there, and if we let our mouse hover on there, the size of 35 square metres of paving, $150 per square metre, and it's going to be put in by a company called Stately Paving. So all of this information is being stored in the drawing. There's a timber screen here. Let's hover over it. It's eucalyptus hardwood screen, 1800 high by 1300 wide, fits into that area, and there's a manufacturer's information on it. So all that information is being stored in the drawing file and is available, and you can, with gCADPlus extended data, we can extract the data and we'll put it into a CSV file that we'll call stored, and then if we go to our desktop and double click it, that will start Excel, and all that information that you saw in the drawing is all neatly summarized in a comma separated file. So we'll head back to gCADPlus. So it's a little irritating to have it pop up all the time, and you probably want to turn, when normal drafting, entity data off, but it's useful if we find one with some entity data there. We'll right click and pick store data, which is the command there. So here's the information that's stored about that dwarf rock lily, and there's a URL to take us to an image showing this plant, and I can link to the URL, and that will turn on my browser, the currently configured browser, which I think will be Internet Explorer. Link to the URL, and there we go, we're linking to an image of the plant. Let me come back to our gCADPlus environment. So you can see we're storing a lot of information about those symbols. It's still, of course, that symbol over here in the properties is still containing information. The ringa lily is an alternative name for that. I just think it's called the ringa lily, and there's a code there for ATP, and I might want to change that code and reassign it. But can you see that you have a lot of choices? You can store information about blocks. All sorts of information can be stored and accessed very easily, and that might become important if you were thinking about using this drawing and giving the drawing to your client so that they can follow progress on the site over a number of years and refresh their memory about what the plant will look like. You could even keep cultivation information in that extended data.